These are the top 25 shootouts across films and TV, Volume 2.
MyScusa, MyScusa. It stands for Shop Products, and if you sign up for a premier membership, which is only...
Sign up for a
Listen, let's...
Kicking off today with an absolute banger of a movie. If you want to know why this shootout happens in the first place, well, it's all in the name. Revenge is an excellent film that highlights the various evils of humanity, but also deals a satisfying end to the villains, including the boyfriend of our main character, Jen. I won't discuss why she's here to take revenge because I strongly suggest you watch the movie itself. Anyway, the final scene is packed with blood and tons of suspense because we don't really know what's going to happen next. There's always some kind of unexpected moment, so the ending becomes so much more entertaining. Now, look, if you want logic from this film, then you may be a little bit disappointed, especially regarding how Jen survives what happens to her in the beginning, or even how Richard seems to have like 100 liters of blood inside him. However, the French are all about the vibes, so keep that in mind if you decide to give 2017's Revenge a chance. Up next is a hardcore encounter involving the Cartel. Of course, whenever you attach such an organization to the story, shootouts are bound to happen, even if they're right in the middle of the road. It's a case of transporting the goods going wrong, but I've got to give it to the Cartel boys for looking like very believable police officers. The encounter against the Wireman was pretty epic and felt really realistic. Like the part where the truck is being shot at, it feels as if we're watching it in front of our eyes in real life. The action felt so natural, they had a strange sense of familiarity, even though we're not all skilled shooters. There were some casualties too, but I guess all of that is fine if you want to make a crazy sequence with guns and bullets doing all the talking. Ridley Scott may have messed up with other parts of the film, but he did get the shootout right, and that's why it's here on this list.
Get back here right now! I'll ruin you!
At number 23 is the wrong kind of art gallery. No, seriously, is this the state of art nowadays? People just randomly show up at a gallery and start shooting everyone to pieces? How did they even come up with the title of Lucky Day? I don't see anything lucky about trying to appreciate some paintings only to realize that your insides will be painted on the walls too. Anyway, this was crazy to watch as people were getting massacred left, right and center. There was no mercy shown to anyone, and just like every other movie sequence, this one too has unlimited ammo for everyone shooting. There are folks with 30 or maybe 20 round mags, and they still managed to shoot enough rounds that would only be possible via some magical miracle. Anyway, the adrenaline was rushing for me throughout this scene, so it's not like I'm complaining about it. Having said that, I do feel they could have done a little bit better with the sound design for this scene.
Shoot the gun!
Yeah, right. No!
The next one's bizarre as JoJo's Adventures. They even brought the aliens into this one for some reason. Anyway, the motel shootout was an example of exemplary action mixed with chaotic consequences. There were barely any survivors by the end of it, but I'm fine with that because the entire sequence had me hooked from start to finish. It's also one of the main reasons why so many fans consider Season 2 to be the best out of everything Fargo has given us. The human activities definitely deserve the praise, but what the heck did the aliens have to do with anything? Honestly, the UFO had me absolutely rolling. Like, I'm watching this tense, realistic shootout where anyone can die, and then suddenly a freaking flying saucer shows up for no reason other than to distract Bear so that Lou can shoot him down. Yeah, you heard me correctly. There was never any other mention or appearance by that UFO. I don't know if the writers genuinely wrote the unidentified flying object into the script in advance, or whether it was a result of eating some unidentified edible objects. It's time to welcome Jason Statham to the list, and he's doing what he does best, getting into a shootout involving a bunch of bullets and a whole lot of betrayal. Okay, that may have been a bit direct, but consider the final output of this tense encounter. Sure, people get shot, including the main character Hill, but what actually comes of it? It's the betrayal at the end of the sequence. I'll admit that I was shocked to see Dave wasn't the inside man, but rather the dude named Bullet. Anyway, the adrenaline rush is crazy AF. Everybody's vulnerable, even the ones with heavy armor on. I guess that's a good way to depict the violence in a realistic fashion, at least in my opinion. But yeah, when those guys started loading up those G36s, you just knew chaos was gonna break loose. Jason Statham sure seems to have found his formula, and he seems quite comfortable in it as well. Good for him.
Come give me a hand.
Bullet! What the gun at me, all right? Hey, calm down! Look out!
Yep, our next entry takes it up a notch. We've got the cars involved now, and it looks freaking amazing. If the name of the movie is 24 Hours to Live, you can expect action, high stakes, and chaos. It's like a fundamental truth. Having said that, the real MVP of this scene isn't Travis, but rather the Toyota Avanza he's driving. I mean, there are bullets flying across everywhere, and the car takes a considerable amount of damage here, but it still manages to come through, which is rather amazing. If this is what the car actually has in terms of durability, then everyone would be buying it, and the folks at Toyota who decided to do the sponsorship deal with this film would have been given some crazy promotions. On a serious note, the shootout is great. And it's a great situation too, with people literally driving for their lives. In that case, at least I can compliment Travis on his driving skills, right?
Er det dem?
Kig på dem, er det dem?
Ja, det er ham. Det er ham.
Mads Mikkelsen is so unrecognizable in this scene. It's also more of an execution than a shootout, but it does qualify technically, so here it is. The insane domination is hard to ignore, and the fact that it's happening in the streets at night only enhances the overall impact of the sequence. Marcus was on some serious energy because it never looked like he was going to get shot or hurt. He just went about taking everyone down as if he was a regular Sunday outing. I guess this is what Hannibal Lecter likes to do when he's not eating humans for fun. Strangely enough, if I remember this movie correctly, I think the shootout somehow contributed to Marcus's spiritual healing or something. I mean, I could be wrong, because nobody would associate such a massacre with any kind of healing. Yeah, there are some plot holes and logical inaccuracies, but if Mads Mikkelsen is in your film, he can lend credibility to just about anything.
Nej, ikke slå mig ihjel! Vi tager ham bare med.
In at 18 is a movie that you might not know about. As far as its shootout is concerned, it's all about the intensity. Jack getting wounded by rakes was pretty bad already, but then Forrest also gets a bad injury and his driver loses his life. Yeah, the shootout was intense for sure, and Forrest actually gets some pretty harsh treatment, but this is Tom Hardy we're talking about, so the man soldiers on. Rakes really didn't know when to stop, so it's only natural for him to go out in the pathetic manner that he did. While the shootout was no doubt excellent, I must give props to Shia LaBeouf. He may have had loads of issues, but he sure knows how to act like the rent is due. After watching this movie, I just thought of something. Imagine the next Red Dead Redemption game starring Jack Marston in the early 1930s during Prohibition time. Yeah, that would be one heck of a product, wouldn't it?
Jack! Stand down, everybody! Stand down! She's fired!
Where's Tim?
Police! Drop it!
Oh Oh boy, what do I even say about such scenes? Looks like any place can be used for a shootout. There are lots of highlight moments in this sequence, but I suppose that's only possible when you film a shootout and a raid properly. I know that Frankie is supposed to be the main character, but my eyes were on Huey the whole time because that man was scared for dear life. There are lots of people who lose their lives, but it's hard for me to say they were innocent, especially when they're getting caught for making drugs. Some of the kills were quite brutal too. We got all kinds of weapons on display, including shotguns, so it was obvious this wasn't going to be an easy watch. Having said that, I gotta salute the cast and crew for being able to pull off such a chaotic sequence. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for them to do it in such a way that we got this as the final product. It just goes to show that with the right methods, filmmaking can be elevated way beyond the world of CGI.
Stay out! Stay down! Hands! Hands!
Queen 49973, requesting backup airship and a supervisor.
Get in the car. Go, go, go! Male Hispanic, dark clothing.
In at number 16 is something involving cops, but with a lot more chaos. The ambush sequence in 2012's End of Watch is like hitting the crazy factor to maximum output. People just aren't thinking straight here, as the damage is mindless. Of course, Brian and Mike try to be as sensible as they can, but just like the shaky camera movements, there's nothing stable about what we witness. Of course, there are lots of missed shots too, so you'd wonder if these people were trained with the stormtroopers from the Star Wars for accuracy. Also, I know it can be quite scary to have a couple of cops get shot at and also shoot from your place, but holy mother of God, that woman really should have been a bit quieter. Apart from that, I'd say the sound design was the real winner of this sequence. It's hard to find quality like that in today's digitally created noise. Well, I'm really sounding like an old guy now, aren't I?
Tell that to shut the We're all good, bro. They're sending the cavalry, they're sending the whole world.
Wait for it. Now. Cover me.
Number 15 is something special. Just like Revenge, Hardcore Henry is a movie that lives up to its title. There's nothing soft about it, as our main man participates in shootouts as if he's Arnold Schwarzenegger competing for bodybuilding contests. The building shootout isn't just great because of its action choreography, but also because of how good it looks from a first-person perspective. Yes, I love how a movie that's shot entirely in this POV has a better sense of place and spatial awareness than most normal movie fight scenes. You actually have a better idea of where everything is relative to Henry than a movie like Taken does. Nothing personal, Liam Neeson, you're not catching strays, it's just a comparison. Also, that line,
you can hear them, but you can't shoot them. You can probably grenade them. Drop an egg down there, laddie.
if you can hear them, but you can't shoot them, you can probably grenade them, was so epic. It's something you'd probably see as a game tip or something.
Yeah.
Take cover, everyone, the Baba Yaga has spawned, so no one's going to be left alive unless he wants it. The shootout at the catacombs is just another one of multiple sequences that prove John Wick's status as the world's deadliest assassin. Ruby Rose thought she was being slick by sending goon after goon to take him out, but just like her attack on Sydney Sweeney, she was the one who ended up losing aura points. I'm not interested in unnecessary politics anyway, so let's get back to this brilliant shootout. Keanu Reeves is flawless as always, and seeing this sequence again only makes me wish for another John Wick film. You see, it's not just about being good with guns and weapons, but also how you end up using your sense of awareness. Having extra weapons stashed along your escape route is one of the smartest decisions in any action movie. This is why John Wick is so beloved. After all, switching weapons is much faster than reloading.
Need you to drive me on out of here.
And number 13 is a great standoff between core characters. Anton Chigurh and Moss fight it out with grit and determination against the backdrop of night and minimal background music, thus adding to the rawness that makes No Country for Old Men stand out in the first place. You want to know what's interesting? Even though they were both central characters in the film, there are only 2 brief frames where Llewellyn Moss and Anton Chigurh are seen on screen together, both in this sequence. First is where Moss drops out of the window and Chigurh in silhouette is seen beyond him in the doorway in a shooting position, and then we have the moment where we see Moss's hands on the shotgun and Chigurh driving away behind the car. Fascinating revelation, wouldn't you agree? Regardless of such specifics, the shootout was yet another masterpiece by the Coen brothers.
No need to see you again, thanks. We're out of here.
Grateful!
Up next is a lot of crazed shooting. The Cartel strikes again, and this time it's in the form of Benicio del Toro's Lardo from 2012's Savages. The premise for the shooting is quite simple. Chon sets up Lardo as a rat, and it leads to some harsh consequences. Look, Lardo was never going to survive this, but the man made sure to draw it out for as long as he could, didn't he? Do you even see how many times he gets shot? The dude just simply refuses to die right until the very end of the scene. Now that's some serious resilience if you ask me. Look, the movie does have its own issues, especially the ending, but look, I'm not a critic. I'm just here to enjoy these people shooting the living daylights out of each other. And for that, this is good enough.
I have a family. 3 little ones, you know. Please.
What are you thinking? Well, we should strike now, or we've got the element of surprise.
Wait here.
Don't go in on your own.
Don't worry. He knows what he's doing.
Buckle up, fellas, we're in the big leagues now, especially if we've got Nicholas Angel on the channel. The supermarket shootout in Hot Fuzz is the perfect mix of action and comedy. Edgar Wright sure knows how to balance these two, which is why I'm all the more surprised that he's the director of the Running Man remake. Anyway, I love how Sergeant Fisher spends the entire film asking Angel for help in almost every event, such as how to handle certain textbook situations like gas explosions and traffic collisions, but when it comes to an unorthodox situation of besieging a building filled with potentially dangerous individuals, he has a plan and takes the lead. Also, the endless cocking back of the shotguns makes this scene amazing. We get the sound effects even before any shots are fired. Oh, and it was nice to see Sandor Clegane in something before Game of Thrones. Kicking off my top 10 is Chris Hemsworth's other notable role. Yeah, he's not Thor, but Tyler Rake knows a thing or two about getting things done by yourself. Here he's taking out cops like it's no one's business, and it's executed with great precision. The cinematography of the scene also stands out, so it was a great job by the team all in all. Making it look like it's all one shot was even better, but yes, the camera work deserves tons of praise. Chris Hemsworth should also thank Netflix for giving him this role, otherwise he'd only be remembered as the God of Thunder. Not that that's a bad thing, but actors do like to have some kind of variety in their popular roles.
How's it, girl? Let's play.
Next is our boy Max DaCosta switching from brawns to guns because he doesn't really have a choice. Elysium may have bombed at the box office, but some of its sequences were just too good to ignore. The chem rail guns on display are top notch, and you can feel the weight of such weapons even though they're only on a screen. The best part is that they have a whole rack of those freaking guns. It's not a one-off special, but rather a standard issue. The weapon essentially gives the middle finger to cover and concealment and dismembers anyone and anything caught in its line of fire. Gotta say, the advantages of such weapons are way too many to overcome.
присоединить к нашему. Сколько людей заходит?
Here's a new one at number 8. Say what you want about the Russians, but one thing's for sure, they sure know violence. Now, the actual name for Hooked on the game is Na Igra, but I'd rather stick to the English title for convenience purposes. As far as the shootout's concerned, what can I say other than it's A1 stuff? Like, it's a garage, but the shooting was being done as if they were in an active war zone. Who the heck even does stuff like that in such areas? Despite being up against military-level opponents, Dimitri and co sure took them on fiercely. Even some of the POV shots were done as if they were playing a first-person shooter game.
My brother is drunk. Why don't you just tell us how much you want?
Being the guys that killed the sisters brothers.
You shut up now.
In at number 7 is proof that darkness does suit the vibe for shootouts. The Sisters Brothers has one such scene in the Mayfield shootout. I really love how the creators treated the guns and the gunfights in this movie. Having taken place in 1851, the two characters used mostly period-accurate guns, which looked to be called 1851 Navy revolvers. Since these revolvers still took time to load, people resorted to carrying multiple loaded cylinders that they'd swap out when needed. This was shown not just in the shootout, but throughout the film as well. I'm also a fan of the line, "It's not about the money, it's about reputation." It gave me flashbacks to Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight.
Oh my God.
Voila! Welcome to La Chacatari. And your choice is?
I just love smoking pigs.
Yeah, we know the title, but there's not a lot of drive in here. Buddy Darling and Bats do all of the work as they take out a whole gang of shooters with minimal effort. There are some really strong highlights, such as when Darling reloads and Buddy racks the slide for her. It's great teamwork, but Bats was aura farming all by himself. What's funny is that the squad actually got into an argument amongst themselves, which is what led to one guy almost escaping. That doesn't happen though, and we're left wondering if this really is the right place for Baby to be.
They were Doc's contacts. Guess what? They was pigs. Look at the boxes. It's APD. The best shit. Get him! Baby, don't let him get away. Do something.
Tequila. Get out of the car.
In at number 5 aren't the opponents you want to be facing. Tyler Rake finds himself up against murderous kids, so he doesn't have any way of winning from a moralistic standpoint. I mean, if you can take them out, you're a child assassin, and if you get taken out, then you lost to kids. It's not exactly a proper shootout, even though shots are fired by the enemy, but it's a great scene that makes good use of smoke camouflage. Tyler did the right thing by taking them on with his strength, because at least that way, he can keep them alive. Even so, that one slap felt a bit personal, and would have definitely left some emotional damage.
That's awful, Pop.
The lads from Hot Fuzz are back, and this time they got a bunch of oldies in a bar to deal with. Man, there's so much to love in this scene. My favourite is how Angel understands the old guy's accent now because he's warming up to Sanford. That lion roar sound effect was also hilarious, driving home how Frank is an old stalwart and doesn't want to give up his position. And what about the constant repetition of the jump and shoot moment? Freaking funny as heck. It's not just the jokes, but also the action that keeps the interest going. See, this is the kind of combo that makes Hot Fuzz the standout from the already epic Cornetto trilogy.
Arrest that man.
Now breathe. 3, 1.
You know what this is?
In another hardcore scene from Savages, we've got a lot of sniping and destroying. It's quite the strategy they employ to make their plan work, and for some reason, I like the masks too. They felt aesthetically appropriate for what went down. It was also refreshing to see how, unlike other movies, the scene showed the effects of death and killing on someone who's a complete stranger to the concepts. In other movies, the newbie just suddenly becomes a badass or is instantly desensitized to violence from the get-go. Ben behaves as how I would imagine most would if some guy's blood and brains got blown all over his face. It's grounded, and this is the main reason why it's so high up on the list.
4, 3, 2.
Look who's back again, barely missing out on the top spot. Yes, it's the motel shootout scene, but I'm focusing on those random dudes that Anton Chigurh takes out in his typical psychopathic manner. This scene really shows how much of a ghost he is. The man doesn't even care about leaving his socks and puts his fingerprints everywhere. He's not in the system, so he has nothing to fear. Also, the way the dude's arm flopped after getting hit with presumably the 00 buck was so scarily accurate. Close range shotgun injuries are often catastrophic, so props to the Coen brothers again. You know, everything about this is perfect, but I must say that even for 1980, that's a god-awful depressing motel. It actually suited the whole murderous persona of our main villain.
No me mates.
A fitting entry for number 1, wouldn't you say? Our boy isn't here just to play around, and it shows in a sudden shootout. Tony Montana isn't your average guy, so when someone pulls a chainsaw on him, he's just gonna blow their brains out right there with everyone watching. The whole situation flips really fast because Tony looked like he was about to get killed, but his boys show up just in time, and suddenly he's back in control. Al Pacino's expressions tell you everything. You can see he's tracking this dude down because he's absolutely not letting him get away with this. And the really cold-blooded part, Tony doesn't even take the cheap shot from behind. He actually waits to make eye contact first before pulling the trigger. Now, that's some ice-cold revenge right there. That too, in the middle of a freaking shootout. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.